The movie begins with Adaline Bowman purchasing a fake ID at an apartment in San Francisco. The forger asks her why she chose to be 29. With her looks, she could shave off a few years. She smiles and says he's too kind. While leaving, she asks why he makes fake IDs when he has the potential for much more. She also notes that the autographed baseballs on his desk show his real name, so someone can easily find out that he's lying what his real name is. "It's the little things that slip you up," she says. Adaline goes home to her apartment where her dog greets her. It is seen that during her 107 years of being alive, she has raised the same generation of dogs over and over again. She notes she is late for work at the library's Office of Archives. While working, she opens a film reel and her life is explained. She was born on New Year's Day in 1908. In 1929, she married a young man named Clarence James, and only 3 years later, she gave birth to a baby girl, Fleming. Adaline was the happiest she could ever be, but her life turned upside down when her husband died in a tragic accident during the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge in 1937. 10 months after her husband's death, Adaline was driving to her parents' cottage. An unexplainable snow begins to fall. Adaline had poor visibility on the road because of the snowfall, which caused her to crash into a ravine. Tragically, she died freezing in water, but something magical happened next. She was struck by lightning and brought back to life. And from that moment onwards, Adaline hasn't aged a second. She remained 29 years old forever. As she grew older, she realized she had this unique condition, but thought it was because of a good diet, exercise, and simple luck. But as time passed, her appearance at her age became almost abnormal. Her daughter Fleming grew older, and the two started looking like sisters, but Adaline didn't age. One day she is pulled over by a cop who takes away her ID as it says she is in her late 40s. She decides to move away and does a year of research at a medical college, but cannot find anything to explain her condition. Late one rainy night, she is walking home when 2 FBI agents follow her. They put her in a car and try to take her on an airplane. She escapes out of the trunk and decides she will spend her life running away with a new look and identity every decade. She explains this to her daughter, now an adult, and they have a heartfelt goodbye. It is currently 2014, and Adaline is 106 years old, but neither her appearance nor her health has changed since she was 29. Her daughter Fleming has aged gradually and looks old enough to be Adaline's mother. Currently, she is living as Jennifer Larson and is about to move in 7 weeks under a different name to live on a farm in Oregon. In the present day, she adds a co-signer to her account, her new identity, and has a flashback to when she first opened the account. She had invested in Xerox, and it has paid off well, which explains her financial situation. On her 107th birthday, Adaline's blind friend Reagan invites her to a New Year's Eve party. Adaline dresses up beautifully and arrives at a lavish mansion. On the wall is a picture of her with friends, and it's clearly from many decades ago. She stares at it and moves on to find her friend, who is playing the piano for a party. Her friend is blind and jokes to Adaline that they're cougars, as only young men go after her. Her friend assumes they're both old ladies. A young man walks up to Adaline and she quickly pins him, Sherlock Holmes style. From his expensive heirloom watch to the paint on his hands, she knows he's an artist who comes from a wealthy family. As they make small talk, Ellis Jones walks into the room. They have a moment of eye contact until a brunette kisses Ellis on the cheek and Adaline looks away. At midnight, she walks out of the room and calls her daughter. Her daughter sings happy birthday on the phone and confirms lunch the next day. Adaline is about to leave when Ellis joins her in the elevator. They introduce themselves and get to know more about each other. Adaline introduces herself as Jennifer, trying to stay as away from him as possible. Ellis is more interested in her than she is in him. He awkwardly escorts her out and asks her how they can meet again, but Adaline leaves after wishing him a happy new year. The following day, she goes to meet Fleming for lunch. Mother and daughter hug and have a happy conversation. Flemings tells Adaline about her plan to move into a retirement home somewhere far, which Adaline is not happy about because she wants to stay closer to her daughter. The next day at work, her co-workers mention a generous benefactor is coming by to donate some books. Surprise, it's Ellis. He brings her books that have flowers in the name, alluding to their elevator conversation. Apparently, he's seen her before at board meetings and knew she worked there. He asks her to be in the photograph they're doing for publicity, and she quickly says no, she doesn't like being photographed. He suggests a date instead, and seeing the man try so hard, Adaline agrees. She asks him to take her to a place she has never been before in San Francisco. Ellis accepts the challenge and takes her to the recently found historic tunnel. In the next scene, they are in the tunnels beneath San Francisco. They found a boat. He tells her a great deal about himself and then asks about her. All she is willing to say is, "I have a dog." As they leave, he offers to tell her a joke, and if she laughs, then she has to go out with him again. He tells a terrible joke, and she laughs. Adaline goes to Ellis's apartment for the next date, where they have hot dogs, wine, and listen to jazz. The two have a wonderful conversation while drinking wine and listening to jazz music. Ellis tells her about his father, who is an astronomer and is famous for discovering an unusual comet. He also reveals that the New Year's party wasn't when he first saw Adaline. In fact, he had first seen her a while ago sitting near the library in a blue dress and instantly felt drawn to her. The two look into each other's eyes and move closer to kiss, but Adaline pulls away, refusing to act on her feelings. She is afraid to be close to anyone since she is always moving and changing her identity. Ellis hides his disappointment and asks her more about herself. His words overwhelm Adaline, and the two finally kiss. The following morning, they wake up on Ellis's bed. As Adaline goes to work that day, she passes a park and remembers the time a man was waiting for her on the same park bench. It was her lover from a long time ago who wanted to marry her, but Adaline had to leave him because of her condition. Later, Adaline walks home to her dog lying limp on the floor. She rushes him to the vet and finds out that his kidneys have failed, so it would be best to put him down. Later, Adaline returns home distressed and looks at an album with the pictures of dogs she has had over the years. At night, she is walking to her apartment when Ellis approaches her with a bouquet of flowers. He had left her several voicemails which she didn't answer, so he went out of his way to figure out her address from her work. Adaline informs him about her dog's death and tells him he shouldn't have invaded her privacy. She leaves abruptly after asking him to stay away. The following day, she meets Fleming again and tells her about Ellis. Fleming advises her mother to let go and live her life for once. During this time, she has had to put her dog down. Adaline feels sorry for being rude to Ellis the other day and goes to his work to apologize. They go on a date to a drive-in movie theater. She explains the history as if she was there, which she was. They drink wine and look at the stars on the ceiling. He asks her to attend his parents' 40-year anniversary party, and she says yes, with the condition that she will be driving. The next day, they drive to Ellis's parents' home and pick up Ellis's sister, Kiki, on the way. When the three finally reach there, they are welcomed by Ellis's parents, William and Kathy. As soon as William sees Adaline, he says her name. Adaline is in shock, but corrects him saying that her name is Jennifer. The two share awkward eye contact, after which Adaline claims that William must have known her mother. William is visibly shaken, seeing how much Jennifer looks like his old friend Adaline, and is shocked when Jennifer tells him Adaline passed away a few years ago. After everyone goes to sleep, William pours himself a drink and reminisces about the time he first met Adaline. He was only 26 years old, and she was 29 when he helped her fix her car. The two instantly got along, and even Adaline told him her real name. The two quickly fell in love and traveled to America together. It is then revealed that William was the man who was about to propose to Adaline at the park, but Adaline got to know about it and stood him up. She actually loved him, but couldn't risk her secret being out. Back in the present, Adaline cannot fall asleep at night. The next morning, William can't stop talking about Adaline, which makes his wife a little annoyed, and she walks away. Williams follows her to ask her what is wrong, and she tells him that talking about Adaline all the time makes her feel like the second option to him. He reassures her he loves her, and the two kiss. That night, they play trivia. William is on a 47-game winning streak. Adaline pretends to not know the answer, but after a diss by Ellis, she goes all out and wins. The family jokes that they didn't know what would happen first, William's loss in trivia, or the arrival of Della, a meteor he predicted would come, but it never arrived. Adaline realized that William named the meteor after her, but William told his family that Della was William's aunt, but the truth is, Della is Adaline's nickname. Adaline is touched. A while later, Adaline goes out for a walk and is startled by William, who is stargazing. The two have a nice chat, and William tells her he was about to propose to her mother. Before William left, Adaline also confesses that her mother also loved him. In the following scene, Adaline is back in bed with Ellis. He eventually confesses he has fallen in love with her and cannot imagine his life without her. She smiles but doesn't say, "I love you" back. The next morning, Adaline goes for a walk and runs into William. He sees a ladybug on her head and helps her remove it. While he is at it, William notices a scar on Adaline's wrist that is identical to the one that his girlfriend Adaline had. He remembers it clearly because he was the one who stitched the wound for her, and even has a picture of them together where Adaline's hand is bandaged. He rummages through an old shed to find a picture to make sure he isn't crazy. He finally confronts her and asks her for the truth. Adaline comes clean and tells him she doesn't know how it started, but she doesn't age. She also admits that her condition was the reason she left him on the day he wanted to propose. William asks her if she will leave his son as well. Adaline gets overwhelmed and runs back to the house in a hurry. She quickly packs her bags and leaves a note for Ellis, who is still in the shower. Like always, Adaline has decided to run away. She takes his car keys and drives away as William tries to stop her. When Ellis comes out of the shower, he is heartbroken to see the note. He gets dressed and asks William what he said to Adaline to make her run away. William just says that she is not ready for the change. He asks his son if he actually loves Adaline. Ellis says he does because nothing in life makes sense without her, even though he hasn't known her for long. Hearing this, William hands his car keys to Ellis. Ellis calls Adaline numerous times on his way, but she ignores all his calls. She pulls over her car coincidentally, near the same place her accident took place decades ago. Adaline reminisces about the times she has run away and realizes she loves Ellis too much to stay without him. She calls her daughter and they have a moment. She decides she will stop running. As she turns the car around, a tow truck plows into her and drives off. Inexplicably, snow begins falling again. Her body lies limp by the side of the road, and for the first time in 78 years, it snows in Sonoma County. As the temperature drops, Adaline freezes and her heartbeat eventually stops. Just then, Ellis pulls up and sees what's happening. He performs CPR to try to bring her back. A while later, the paramedics arrive at the scene and place 2 defibrillator paddles on Adaline's chest. They administer 750 volts of electricity, similar to the one she had gotten when the lightning struck her decades ago. Because of it, she finally takes a breath and is brought back to life. In the following scene, Adaline is in the hospital with Ellis. He apologizes for saying "I love you" too fast, but Adaline kisses him, claiming that she loves him too. She then opens up about her condition to him and reveals that she is actually 107 years old. Strangely, Ellis is calm even after hearing the truth. Her daughter arrives, sees Ellis, and says, "I'm her grandmother." Adaline tells her he knows, and she cries with joy and hugs him. 1 year later, Ellis and Adaline are going to a New Year's Eve party. Adaline even has a new puppy that Fleming looks after most of the time. Adaline suggests her daughter go out, but she says no. Before leaving, Adaline checks the mirror and does a double take. She plucks a gray hair, a sign that she is now aging. The movie ends as it is revealed that apparently a combination of the defibrillator and hypothermia have restored her humanity. Also Della, the meteor arrives. It's 50 years too late, but it shines brighter than ever.